Namaste students, welcome to our EVS class. In today's class we are going to learn all about the timeline and how the birth of Jesus Christ is taken as a point and how the things happened before the birth of Christ are marked and how the things that happened after the birth of Christ are shown on a number line, okay, or the timeline. We have already learned how to arrange events on a timeline. Today we will learn how to arrange events before and after a given point of time. BCE means before common era, CE means common era. So draw such line in your notebook, right? In your EVS notebook, draw this timeline and mark the center of the number line with a point and write birth of Jesus Christ. Now make a point on the timeline for a person born 200 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. Make another point on the timeline for a person born 300 years after the birth of Jesus Christ. Now let us watch this video.
Let's watch. Charminar is a monument in India. Both pictures show the Charminar, shops, people, and trees. One has narrow, the other wide roads. One shows bikes. History compares the past and present.
Where did you mark the two people on the number line? We made a mark on the left side of the timeline for the person born 200 years before the birth of Christ. We made a mark on the right side of the timeline for the person born 300 years after the birth of Christ. The person on the left side of the timeline lived in the period known as before Common Era, and the one on the right side lived in the period known as Common Era. Okay, this is how it would be. Okay. Why should we arrange events before and after an important event? Arranging events before and after an important event helps us to broadly divide events into different periods. We get an idea of how long ago something happened by checking if it took place before or after a particular event. Which person was born on a date closer to the birth of Jesus Christ? Now look at the timeline what you have drawn. On that you tell me which event is very close to the birth of Christ. Okay, the one born 200 years before or the one born 300 years after the birth of Christ? Okay, so the answer is the one born before 200 years. Right, the person born 200 years before the birth of Christ was born on a date closer to the birth of Jesus Christ. Now open your worksheet. So it's a very easy exercise. Fill in the blanks with before and after. Right, before and after events which come before and after the given point. Eating lunch is taken as a point, and what do we do? First or before eating lunch, we eating breakfast comes first. So all of you write eating breakfast in the first blank, eating breakfast, eating lunch, and then comes eating dinner. Then in the second blank, going to school, before going to school, wearing school uniform, then after coming back home. Second question, show the following events on a timeline. There was a flood in 2000, a hospital was built 40 years before the flood, new houses were built 1 year after the flood, new roads were built 4 years after the flood. Let us see how we can do it. Okay, so there was a flood in 2000, that is shown. A hospital was built 40 years before that. So here you are going to show on this dot hospital 40 years before. Then 1 year after the flood, here you can show new houses were built. Okay, write the whole spelling. New houses were built, and 4 years after the flood, new roads were built. I'm just writing N for new. You write the whole spelling new roads. Okay, and write the number. This is 1 year and this is 4 years. Draw it clearly, right? So, which event happened closest to the flood? Okay, houses were built, new houses were built 1 year after the flood is the closest event to the floods. Okay, now let us read the content book. The birth of Jesus Christ is used as an important marking point in history. Events are arranged according in whether they took place before or after his birth. This is the timeline. The time before the birth of Jesus Christ is known as BCE, that is before Common Era. The time after the birth of Jesus Christ is known as CE, that is Common Era. When we arrange events that took place before Christ, we count backwards. Okay, we count backwards like this. And the man lived 300 BCE, that is 300 years before the birth of Christ. And this woman lives in 2020 CE, that is 2020 years after the birth of Christ. Okay, a person was born in 100 BCE and another was born in 90 BCE. Who do you think was born first? Okay, so the person who was born in 100 BCE, right? Which event is used as marking point in history? Birth of your brother or birth of Jesus Christ? Please tick birth of Jesus Christ. Second question, Sid was born in 1400 BCE and Sam was born in 700 CE. Arrange the date lines in the time. Okay, so you are going to show Sid here. Sid here, and you are going to show Sam here. Sam here, and write the year. Okay, you next to the name you write 400 BCE and 700 BCE, right? Now draw a timeline, mark your birthday at its center, write two events that happened in your family before you were born and two events after you were born. So in your EVS notebook you draw a timeline. So at the center you mark your birthday. Okay, I was born. In which year were you born? You mention there. Then you mark any two events that happened before your birthday in your family and two events that happened after your birthday in your family, right? So that's all for now. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.